You want a raise? Ethan, take a look at yourself. You're a liability, not an asset. Natasha didn't just say it, she laughed, a sharp, cutting sound that echoed off the polished concrete walls of her office and landed squarely in my chest. It wasn't a quiet chuckle, it was open amusement, as if I had just told the funniest joke imaginable. I'm serious, I replied, my voice tighter than I intended. I've streamlined the entire back-end architecture. I've saved this company $4 million in server costs just this quarter. I haven't had a salary adjustment in 4 years. Natasha spun a pen between her manicured fingers. She was 32, the daughter of the founder's golf associate, and had been CEO of Stratus Systems for exactly 6 months. In that short time, she had managed to alienate half the staff and replace the free coffee in the break room with a vending machine that charged $3 for a bottle of water. Ethan, let's be realistic, she said, dropping the pen. It hit the glass desk with a sharp clatter. You're 52. You type with 2 fingers when you think no one notices. You treat email like it's sacred. My nephew could write the code you write in his sleep, and he's 12. My hands tightened into fists at my sides. I had been at Stratus for 19 years. 19! I was there when the office was just a garage in San Jose with no air conditioning. I stayed when we couldn't make payroll in 2009 and took a voluntary pay cut so junior developers wouldn't be laid off. Your nephew didn't build the core redundancy protocol that prevented the system from crashing during the Black Friday surge, I responded. Ancient history. Natasha waved her hand dismissively. We're shifting to AI-driven microservices. We need agility, speed, and youth. You're like expensive furniture, Ethan. Comfortable, but taking up space. She leaned forward, her expression cold. Here's the offer. You keep your current salary, but we're moving you to the legacy maintenance team, basement level. No more client meetings, no more architecture decisions. You just keep things running until you decide to retire. Take it or leave it. And if I leave? She laughed again, the same mocking tone. If you leave, go ahead. I can replace you in a week. Honestly, probably with a script by Friday. I stood there for a moment. The steady hum of the server room down the hall, systems I had personally configured, optimized, and maintained through holidays and anniversaries, vibrated beneath my feet. A week? I repeated. Maybe less, she said with a smirk. Don't let the door hit your grandpa. That was the moment. Not heartbreak, not sadness, just a clear internal shift, like a breaker flipping in my mind. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't react emotionally. I simply nodded, picked up my folder containing the quarterly report that showed I was the most productive engineer in the division, and turned toward the door. Understood, I said. Good, she called after me. And Ethan, try to smile more. You look like you're at a funeral. I was, but not mine. I walked back to my desk. It wasn't even an office anymore. That had been taken away 2 years earlier to make room for a meditation pod no one used. Now I sat in the open bullpen, surrounded by younger employees in hoodies, wearing noise-canceling headphones and communicating mostly through memes. My phone buzzed, a message from my wife, Sarah. Generic meds again this month. Pharmacy says the copay went up. Love you. My stomach tightened. Sarah has an autoimmune condition, manageable but expensive. The insurance Stratus provided had worsened each year. Higher deductibles, fewer benefits. We were steadily losing money. My son, Leo, was starting engineering school in the fall. Tuition was $48,000 a year. I needed that raise, desperately. But to Natasha, I was just expensive furniture. I sat down and unlocked my workstation. The screens lit up, lines of code scrolling past. My code, clean, efficient, stable. People think it's just typing, but complex systems behave like living organisms. They have patterns, defenses, and weak points. I knew every part of Stratus's infrastructure. I knew its strengths and its vulnerabilities because I had built and maintained them. And then I remembered something important. 7 years ago, I developed a predictive caching algorithm. It started as a side project, something I worked on during weekends on my personal server. It improved data retrieval speeds by 40%. I presented it to the previous CEO, Mike. He approved it immediately, and we implemented it. but Mike relied on informal agreements.
He had tried to recruit me 5 years earlier, but I stayed out of loyalty. Loyalty. The word felt hollow now. I sent a direct message. Are you still looking for a lead architect? We need to talk today. The reply came within 3 minutes. Dinner, 7 p.m., the Capitol Grill. Come hungry. I spent the rest of the afternoon documenting everything, not for Stratus, but for myself. I downloaded my original commit logs from my private GitHub, all time-stamped from 2018. I saved emails where I clearly told Mike that the work was personal IP, licensed to the company only for testing. I gathered proof showing that the Stratus speed engine was, in fact, my independent weekend project. At 5 p.m., I packed my bag. I took the photo of Sarah and Leo. I grabbed my lucky stapler and my mug. Leaving early, old-timer? Jason, a 24-year-old junior developer, smirked from behind his dual monitors. Don't hurt yourself on the way out. Have a good weekend, Jason, I said calmly. Make sure you check the load balancers. They can act up on Fridays. Yeah, I know how to do my job, he replied, rolling his eyes. He didn't, not really. At 7 p.m., I sat across from Marcus Thorne. He had the presence of someone sharp and calculated, but his expression showed respect. 19 years, Marcus said, swirling his drink. I thought you'd retire at that desk, Ethan. What changed? New leadership, I replied. Natasha believes experience is a liability. She said she could replace me in a week. Marcus laughed, a deep, genuine sound, nothing like Natasha's mocking tone. A week? I've spent 3 years trying to match your latency numbers and still can't get within 15%. A week is unrealistic. I said, she turned down my raise. Actually, she reassigned me. Marcus stopped laughing and leaned forward, now serious. Let's be direct. I know your value. I've known it for years. Join Omnitech. Title, VP of Infrastructure. Base salary, $280,000. Signing bonus, $50,000. Full family benefits covered, plus stock options. The offer was substantial, nearly double my current salary. It addressed everything, medical expenses, Leo's tuition, the constant financial pressure. There's one condition, I said, placing a thumb drive on the table. I bring something with me, valuable. Marcus raised an eyebrow. The caching algorithm Stratus uses, it's not theirs, it's mine. I have full documentation. They've been using it under an informal agreement. When I leave, that agreement ends. Marcus looked at the drive, then back at me. A slow, deliberate smile formed. You own the engine. Yes. He lifted his glass. Then I think this works for both of us. We signed the agreement right there. No delays, no hesitation. Marcus recognized the opportunity immediately. Monday morning, I walked into Natasha's office at 8:59 a.m. She was drinking a green smoothie and scrolling through Instagram. You didn't call for me, she said without looking up. You don't need to. I'm resigning, effective immediately. I placed the letter on her desk. She glanced at it and scoffed. Immediate resignation? You know you lose your severance if you don't give notice. I'm aware. Fine, she said, waving dismissively. Leave. Like I said, easy to replace. Drop your badge at reception. Don't expect a reference. I won't need one. I start as VP at Omnitech tomorrow. That made her pause. The smoothie stopped halfway to her mouth. Omnitech? You? She said, clearly surprised. What are they planning? Opening a museum? They're upgrading their infrastructure. And one more thing. You may want your legal team to review the IP terms related to the caching algorithm in your main trading system. You'll be receiving formal notice shortly. Her expression tightened. What are you talking about? Everything you created belongs to us. Check the dates and review the employment contract from 2005. It excludes pre-existing personal projects. The engine is mine, and I'm taking it with me. I left without further discussion. No farewells, no delays. I walked out into the sunlight and took a full breath of fresh air for the first time in years. The impact didn't happen immediately. It took about 3 days. I was settling into my new office at Omnitech, an actual office with a door.
Transaction failed. By Friday, the same day Natasha claimed she could replace me, Stratus was in a full breakdown. Their trading platform, which depended on millisecond execution, was now delayed by 34 seconds. In finance, that delay is significant. Clients were losing millions. At 2 p.m. that Friday, my new assistant contacted me. "Mr. Miller, there's a Natasha Vance on line 1. She says it's urgent." I looked at Marcus, who was seated on the couch, reviewing projections. He smiled and nodded. "Put it on speaker." I pressed the button. "This is Ethan." "Ethan." Her voice was strained and urgent. The earlier confidence was gone, replaced by clear panic. "You need to come back right now. Fix this." "I can't do that, Natasha. I no longer work for Stratus." "This is illegal. You sabotaged us. I'm going to take legal action." "No," I replied calmly, leaning back in my ergonomic chair provided by Omnitech. "My legal team sent the documentation 3 days ago. Your lawyers have already reviewed it. They know the situation. You're using my intellectual property. If you want to continue using the algorithm, you'll need to license it." There was a pause. Then, quietly, "How much?" "We're not offering a license," Marcus added smoothly. "We're keeping it as a competitive advantage." "Who is that?" Natasha demanded. "That's my employer, the one that values experience." "Ethan, please." Her voice faltered. "We're losing clients. Bank of America is about to terminate their contract. If we don't fix this by Monday, we're finished. I can offer your job back with a raise, the full 6%. I let out a brief laugh. 6%? I now earn double my previous salary, and I'm treated with respect. I wouldn't return to Stratus under those terms. "I'll remove Jason," she said quickly. "I'll give you a private office. Please, Ethan, I'm going to lose my position." "You mentioned that everyone is replaceable. You said I could be replaced in a week. It's been a week. How is that working?" I ended the call. The consequences were immediate and significant. Without the speed advantage, Stratus could no longer compete effectively. Their largest clients moved to Omnitech within weeks, as our systems were now 40% faster than competitors. Stratus attempted to recover. They hired a team of high-cost consultants to rebuild the back-end infrastructure. The process took 4 months and required substantial investment. By then, the damage was irreversible. Their reputation had declined sharply. 6 months later, I was driving my new Tesla, a personal reward, to pick up Leo from the airport. He was home for break, talking about his classes, optimistic and focused. His tuition was fully paid. Sarah's treatment was completely covered by Omnitech's premium insurance plan. She looked healthier than she had in years. While stopped at a red light, I noticed a tech magazine on a nearby stand. The headline read, "The Fall of Stratus, How Arrogance Undermined a Tech Giant." I bought a copy. The article detailed the company's decline. The board had dismissed Natasha 3 months after my departure. Stratus was being dismantled and sold in parts. Omnitech acquired their client list at a minimal cost. The final paragraph noted that Natasha Vance was facing legal action from shareholders for negligence. She had also been excluded from executive roles in the industry. Reports suggested she was now managing a car rental branch in Sacramento. I returned to the car and placed the magazine in the back seat. "Everything okay, Dad?" Leo asked. "Yes," I said, putting the car in motion. I thought back to that moment in her office, the laughter, the claim that I could be replaced in a week. In one sense, she was correct. It did take a week, but not in the way she expected. It took a week for them to realize that what they considered replaceable was actually essential to the entire system. I'm 53 now. My hair's grayer. I still type with 2 fingers at times, but no one comments on it. When I speak in meetings, people listen. The younger team members pay attention because they understand something important. Speed matters, but experience brings direction. There's a clear lesson in all of this. Do not underestimate the individuals who understand the foundation of your systems. Some learn this early. Others learn it through consequences. As for me, I'm focused on my work and the results. The coffee here is free, and it's well earned.